Hello again, I am Belanti, and this is the Xperia Arc, the newest flagship handset from Sony Ericsson. It runs a tweaked version of the gingerbread flavour of Android, and it's almost unfeasibly slim, with an arc in its back, from whence it gets its name, clearly, which makes it feel even slimmer in the hand. Compared to the iPhone 4 on a flat surface, it's a close call, but it looks and feels much slimmer, which is what really counts. It's sporting an 8-megapixel camera which uses Sony's new Xperia for mobile imaging sensor. I recently posted a video with a detailed look at the camera performance and a detailed comparison to the iPhone 4's camera, so we'll skip the smaller details here. Around the hardware, there's a micro USB connection for charging and hooking up to a computer, unsurprising volume buttons right where you'd expect them to be, a headphone port which barely fits in the Celt almost eating disorder dimensions, power button on top which is small and sits flush. I've heard some reviewers have found this a bit tricky to use, but I can't say the same. I like it, and you simply can't hit it by accident. There's also a micro HDMI port up top, but more on that later. The main hardware buttons on the face are small, but they have a nice solid action. The icons don't light up, but the spaces between the buttons do, so using it in the dark is okay, so long as you remember which button is which. As I said earlier, the Arc runs Android Gingerbread, which Sony Ericsson have slicked up a bit with their own interface tweaks, which is actually really nice. It's very attractive, and everything responds very smoothly. Not everything has been tweaked though. It still has the standard Android Gallery app, which is a bit, well, let's be kind and call it quirky, but it gets the job done. The camera app though, thank merciful Jeebus, isn't the standard camera interface, being completely custom and actually very nice. With quick and easy access to all the controls and adjustments, same goes for video mode, easy to get to, easy to use, nothing is buried more than one level deep. It's the best camera interface I've seen on an Android device. The keyboard throughout the system looks familiar, but I found it harder to use than I expected. I mistyped stuff a lot, and it got kind of frustrating. I think it's more about the error correction and word prediction software than the actual design and layout of the keyboard, but the fact is, typing for me is way quicker and more accurate on the iPhone. Maybe I just needed more time to get used to it. The default browser is nice and responsive too. You can double tap to zoom in on a web page, of course, but in a nice little trick, any text on the page actually reflows so you don't have to scroll side to side to read it properly even when zoomed right in. And of course, embedded YouTube videos work just fine. Geez, even that pretty screen can't make that ugly bastard look presentable. Ugh. Sony Ericsson have a few apps and widgets of their own built in, like the music player and scrolling gallery here, which is neat but a bit too sensitive, making it hard to select the pick you're after. It's, well, it's a bit of sexy show-off value really, but not much use in the real world, I found. The screen, by the way, is utterly and completely beautiful. Easy to read in any condition, however, strangely there's no ambient light sensor, so it can't do that trick of auto-magically adjusting its brightness depending on conditions. But there is a widget that lets you instantly turn it right down to uselessly dark levels for some reason. To be honest, the lack of auto brightness adjustment didn't bother me at all, as I usually turn that feature off anyway. But it's a weird feature omission anyway and deserves a mention. When you're looking at videos or pictures on the display, there's a Sony Bravia engine that kicks in with some clever image processing to make everything look extra sexy. This technology is borrowed from Sony's television division, and it's the hotness. When it comes to gaming, the Arc holds its own. Now, the Arc doesn't have the most bone-splinteringly quick dual-core CPU on board. It sports a 1 GHz Scorpion Adreno processor, but it's still very nippy, and nothing I hit it with gave it any problems. Gaming, like everything else, was surprisingly smooth and pleasant. Why did I load up a golf game? I don't know. That's idiotic. Golf is stupid. Let's play a game that wears a fun shirt and pants made out of joy and the smiles of babies. Using on-screen thumbpad-like controls is my least favourite way to play a game on a touchscreen device, but this game does them well, and it's one of the funnest and best ways I know to test the responsiveness and accuracy of the multi-touch display, and the Arc passes this test with flying zombie guts. Now, back to that little HDMI port on top. Well, the Arc has a little trick up its sleeve that just makes me smile. It can mirror its own display out to your HD TV, which means, bam, Barry steak fries battling the undead on my big screen, which, in case you're wondering, is about 14 kinds of awesome. Oh, and I guess you could probably use it for other more sociable things as well, like playing back photos, slideshows and presentations, video works of beauty too, music, maps, web browsing, even poking through the App Store. In fact, anything and everything can be piped directly to the big screen. Basically what I'm saying is this: the Xperia Arc is the very best Android phone I have ever laid hands on. The camera is great, the interface is very smooth and polished, it's improbably slim and light, the screen is big, bright and frankly gorgeous, the battery life isn't astounding, but it never failed to get me through the day of even fairly heavy use. The inbuilt speaker isn't that great, but it gets the job done okay-ish. If you're in the market for an Android handset, make sure this one is on your short list. I'm yet to meet anyone who's had a play with one who didn't love it. Thanks for watching. I'm Blonty, and I'll catch you next time.